Assalamu alaikum جميعا. My name is Salah Barakat. I'm leading the AI and analytics team for Ericsson, the Middle East and Africa. It's very good to be with all of you here today. I'd like to share with you some of the insights of what we do within Ericsson that's related to AI-powered DevOps and its essence to our business. So when Lars Magnus Ericsson first started Ericsson, he had a lot of passion for connecting people. The idea of the company first on, back in 1876, was to manufacture and repair telegraphs. That was the initial idea. And then when he got to know more about what Alexander Graham Bell is doing, he got hooked into the idea of telephones. And this is where it all started. Fast forward to 1980, this is when the development and innovation of the mobile technology has taken place. You can see that, we started out with the 2G, then later on in the 1990s, closing this out, towards the 2000s, we had the 3G technology and then the 4G and with what we have today. Over the course of maybe more than 40 years, what happened was the data speed has basically accelerated at a pace of 10 times over each decade. That's tremendous. That's more than Moore's Law, just to put things into perspective. And now we have a lot of innovation being done and a lot of work towards the future technology with the 6G as well. So the challenge that we currently have within 5G is the following. There is just too much data to handle. The telecom operators, they are swimming in data. And in order to be able to carry out the most important function of the mobile networks, that's the engine of where all the digitalization lives, basically. It's no longer an option to just live with it without having a major tool to give you the power in order to optimize, design, plan for how those networks function. I'm a little delayed on the next with the slides. I think there's something wrong with the point there. Ahmed, if you can please help me now. Oh, there we go. So why is AI relevant to telecom? What is the application of what we're going to be doing now? It's basically essentially three things. There is the exponential increase within the necessity of compute and the tremendous volumes of data that we're working with. That's basically an explosion of what we have to adapt and what we have to address. There is the not only the data that we're carried out throughout the network, there is also the configuration data of the network, the parameters and the KPIs of how those networks are functioning. And there is also the need for more advanced algorithms and ways in order to be able to address those needs. So basically, as we go on to the transition towards 5G, it has become a necessity that we empower the mobile network operations with AI. So if I move on towards the evolution of networks, design, optimization, and operations, you essentially want to achieve three main components at all times. You want to achieve the best-in-class user experience for your network. You also want to always be in control of your operational expenditure, and you want to drive this in a very smart way. The journey towards zero touch. So I would say maybe throughout the course of the 3G technology, you're going to see that there was a lot of automation that was done in order to achieve that level of efficiency within the mobile networks, and that's what we used to call SON. These are, very well-defined actions that you have to take based on what you would need to achieve with your operations. There is no intelligence whatsoever being done in the setup of just automating based on rules. So the transformation journey is going to lead to the following. Well, first of all, you want to take things beyond just automation. You want to address the process end to end. And this is the first place where you want to inject AI. You are process or task driven. And then at this point, you want to have imagine that you have a function that's carrying you out or helping you with achieving your optimum operations without coffee breaks, basically. They see things in the networks that you cannot see with the typical setup of what you would do if you do and run your analysis over Excel. So that's a major transformation to the way that we want to run our transformation moving forward. And from that point onwards, you essentially want to drive the level of operation within your networks towards intent. You want to manage your network based on goals. You don't want to be let's say confined within just rules, or try to align a set of objectives towards what you want to achieve with respect to the business. You want to give your targets to the network based on the things that you want to accomplish, essentially. And if this is done well, I think this is going to help us achieve with many what we're trying to achieve within the telecom industry and many other industries as well, which is the zero-touch, AI-powered operations. So within the telecom business, there is a focus on three major verticals, and I'm going to come to you a little later about the relevance of DevOps to this journey. So the three major elements that are essential for this journey are the following. There is the goal towards zero-touch operations. There is trustworthy AI. I'm going to go into details about what this means in a little bit. And there's also big data, making sense out of all the tremendous volumes of data that you have within your network. So within zero-touch operations, the major trends that you basically have there is the network automation, intent-based networks, and empowering your solutions with an AI-powered, AI-native platforms. So there is tremendous power into the fact that you basically want to come to the point where the majority of the operations that you're running when it comes to analysis is essentially done with assisted insights that you cannot typically spot, patterns with the tremendous volumes of KPIs and data volumes that you need to manage. So this is fundamentally important before you come to the automation piece, is to have the element of being able to have recommendations from AI-based platforms before you get to the point of transforming your operation towards zero touch. So moving onwards, this is a very interesting topic, which is the trustworthy AI. The whole setup without trust, I think if you don't have it, it's just game over. And you essentially want to give your user essential information, but the trick about this is that if you go too much to be transparent, then you're compromising or you're risking the confidentiality of the data that you have within your setup. If you go very high level to your user, where you don't give them something that is very specific about what they need to do, well, then you lose the purpose of accuracy. And so it's really a balance game that you have to achieve there. So the other challenge that you have to be taken into consideration into this as well is the following. You want the user, the person who's driving the setup for mobile networks, this person cannot be just sitting there in the passenger seat, because you have some of the most sophisticated domain practices who are leading the orchestration of this. If you want to take an action over the network, whether you want to achieve a certain element of attaining coverage to a certain area, or you want to maximize the speeds for downlink of data in another area, it has to reason well with the orchestrator of that network. You basically want to do all of this while having those who are orchestrating the networks to be in control. So this is something that is very important to achieve, and it's very important in the development or the empowerment of AI within telecom networks. There's also the big data. We just reflected on the fact that operators, telecom operators, there's so much data that is unstructured. You can't make sense of many of the relations between those data, but it's there. and you really want to achieve something out of it. It can help you achieve patterns that can essentially monetize the value of what you want to deliver to the end users. So I think maybe for most of the audience here, you're probably aware of what machine reasoning and reinforcement learning is, but a major element that we basically drive within telecom is what we call digital twins. That's essentially taking a virtual copy of what the network looks like, and before providing recommendations to enhance the network setup, you simulate this on the virtual setup, you see the results, you run your model, and when you get to the point where you're confident that your recommendation is going to be of value, this is when you position it and you execute it across the network. So I thought of bringing this to perspective. I mean, this is really the essence of why within the telecom domain, we are leveraging and empowering our business with AI towards our growth and our tremendous effort towards achieving value with 5G. So the DevOps element is fundamental to this, because we live in a world, or at least our telecom world, where if you want to achieve value, you just can't wait for it to be created in a lab and then cascaded to operations. And originally, DevOps was focused on the fact of being very close to operations, trying to find efficiencies wherever possible, applying automation in order to achieve those efficiencies and then move on. But now with what we just mentioned, you really want to change the game to the other direction. The real breakthroughs really happen within operations. This is where you can get ideas about how to empower and how to achieve value within your network. So the DevOps has become an enabler and actually a leader to the innovation within mobile networks. And in light of what we just reflected on, you want to achieve two things. You want to have DevOps set up that is being empowered by AI. You don't want just to get to the point where there is automation. You want to integrate into it what I just mentioned in terms of recommendations that are coming out of the immense data volumes, the trends, and all of this. You want to have that sidekick of a brain to help you in achieving those automations in a way that is driven to find results. And the other important thing, well, intent-driven AI operations. It's all about the business for the telecom operators at this point. You want to drive the value with DevOps towards business goals and objectives rather than just mere efficiencies. You want to hit it with realizing CapEx gains. You want to minimize OpEx. You want to achieve efficiencies within your organizations. You want to address major achievements when it comes to sustainability. Reducing power consumption is another thing. And these are all intent-based goals that you can set to the DevOps functions, developing and orchestrating goals that would essentially transform the way that we're running mobile networks and as we grow within the telecom domain. So I think AI DevOps is no longer just a bridge between the development and operations. It's essentially the major component that drives the innovation and creativity for value. And essentially, I think this is something that can empower our business vertical to achieve the unimaginable towards data manipulation. And I think there is tremendous growth within this technology that is going to be achieved just by leveraging the power of, AI-powered DevOps. So thank you so much for your time. I hope that you find this useful. And if you have any questions for me, anything that you'd like us to address here or later, I'll be more than happy to take on your questions. Oh, sorry.
Do you think that trustworthy AI should come before zero touch AI?
It doesn't have to be one or the other. It doesn't have to go sequentially. It has to go hand in hand. So لو أنا باخد يعني خطوة towards إن أنا the journey towards zero touch, I cannot give you a timeline to it. I cannot tell you it's going to happen tomorrow. I cannot tell you it's going to happen 3-4 years from now. It's an evolution. You need to have that explainable AI embedded along the way, along every step of the way. لو أنا دلوقتي عندي platform بيجي يقول لي I'm gonna give you a certain recommendation, you should do the planning of this area مثلا على سبيل المثال القاهرة. You should add a certain number of sites in order to achieve your goal towards a certain level of user performance. Well, I need to be able to see the reasoning behind that recommendation. So
that's why I think it should become before the zero touch. If I cannot trust it, I cannot leave it to operate on its own.
It's not one or the other. They go hand in hand. So essentially, what you want to achieve is governance. You put the metrics of governance towards the, the enablers that you put within your system, right? And you want to find the mechanism. Just like I mentioned, it's not easy to achieve that, by the way, because it depends on the user that you have. Some users will have privilege to all the data that you're about to expose, and some won't. And you want to ensure that if I'm giving reasoning about why I'm making decisions in a certain instant, that I have the right, let's say, privilege addressed towards the user that I have. So you have the logic of it, you have the governance setup. It's about, when you are in a point where you're basically driving value moving forward, you want to ensure that whoever it is that's getting that perspective or that insight inside the platform or the enabler, that it can see the logic behind making those decisions.
I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any further questions? Thank you so much for your time.